Welcome to another episode of Ecom Experiences, a podcast for e-commerce marketing leaders who want to grow and scale their brands faster. Join us as we interview some of the smartest brand founders and marketing leaders in the industry. Explore the lessons they learned, discover the keys to their success, and discuss what excites them most about the future.
Hi, it's Samir Balwani here, host of Ecom Experiences, where we talk to brand founders and marketing leaders about their experiences growing brands. This episode is brought to you by Query. Query is a paid media agency that helps brands balance brand awareness and performance marketing to drive predictable and profitable growth. To learn more about how we can help you, visit weareqry.com. I'm really excited about our guest today. I have Colin Nielsen, the CMO at Tier 1 Concealed. He's awesome to talk to, super chill, and has so much to share. Thank you so much for joining us, Colin.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Colin,
it.
let's start with the easy questions first. Tell us about Tier 1 Concealed.
Okay, Tier 1 Concealed is the simple description is it's a wholesale company, but the real description is we create and curate products and content for the high performing protector or concealed carry enthusiast, specializing in holsters that are like top tier, hence the name Tier 1.
Oh, I love it. And what's your role, Colin?
I'm the Chief Marketing Officer, CMO.
And what is that?
Among a million other things, it seems like.
Oh, I mean, that sounds right? The marketing is a catch-all half the time, right?
Yep. And with us being a little bit smaller, you kind of have to just fill roles as they either evolve or open up or whatever.
It's the curse of being marketing in this day and age where you have to be a Swiss Army knife, where data analytics and creativity are both things that you need to really understand, which means that you can be slotted in for operations, product design, development, whatever it needs to be done, right?
Yep.
And so I love that because that must mean that every day is different. Can you walk us through like a regular day for Colin?
Oh, I don't know if there is one of those. I think hold on. Sorry. Let's see. So regular day would be get to work. And I think the first thing would be to just kind of like hang out with my team a little bit, meet with them, see what's going on, and kind of discuss the day a little bit. And then, and if we don't need to do that, if everybody's kind of like in the thick of it, I'll probably sit down and look at I like a little notepad that I'll write down. The first thing I'll do is I'll sit down and write down all the things that I need to do that day. And usually I'm just kind of aggregating them into one sheet from a bunch of like Post-it notes or something that I have somewhere.
Yeah.
or I've got a whiteboard in my office that I'll throw things on. And so I like to throw all of those into one spot where I can like have one spot to check things off for the day. So I'll just kind of organize my day, basically. That's my first thing. And then, I'll set it up to attempt to do that anyways. But
as
like
it
we talked
invariably
about,
gets derailed in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's so true. Again, with all the hats and things you got going on. But I think that after that, it's usually some kind of I try not to look at my emails in the morning because that will really put you in a reactive mindset, as they say, instead of an active mindset. But sometimes I do end up doing that because there's a lot of stuff going on in my email, as you probably you know. But then I try and do all my creative, like super creative stuff first thing.
Okay.
If I know I have some big project or something that I really need to like dig deep on, then I won't even talk to the team unless they're a part of what I'm doing.
Right.
I'll just go in my office and like focus on it and try and get in the zone. Like
a flow state going, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I I do all the graphic design as well.
Okay.
So like if it's something that's heavy in that project space, then yeah, I'll just kind of get in the flow and hang out and do that for a while. Then I try to, then we'll probably, usually that gets me to lunch and then we'll go to lunch with the guys and then we'll come back and I'll probably start doing email and responsive type work, which is not my favorite. Usually I have a bunch of Slack messages and stuff that I got to deal with. And all of this is if I'm not getting interrupted, which 9 out of 10 times I got to do something like go over to manufacturing or to customer service or get on meetings with our media buyers we're in the middle of rebuilding an entire website from scratch. And so I have a couple meetings a week with our dev team. And especially when we're kind of in this like final stretch,
Yep.
there's a lot of stuff coming up, especially because we had big ideas with the site. And now we're trying to figure all those out as we go.
That's awesome. So talk to me about some of the challenges that you're starting to experience. It sounds like a day-to-day is pretty, amorphous and flexible, and yet that there's these large projects that you're working on, everything from graphic design to the new site launching to managing your media team. Um, when you think about the challenges and the things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, what are the things that take up the majority of your time, or are giving you, what are keeping you up at night?
Oh, geez. In my role, I would say, unfortunately, management stuff takes up a lot of my time.
Yeah,
Like people stuff,
interesting.
because I'm trying to, you know, keep the team going, and
Yeah,
it's difficult sometimes. So you got to be able to not only create, like, stay on top of your own stuff, but like sometimes you more or less got to figure out stuff for other people to do, if that makes
yeah,
sense. If they're outside of like their normal stuff, because sometimes they are.
yeah.
Uh, what keeps me up at night is probably people stuff and strategy.
That's awesome.
Strategy is something that needs a lot of time.
Can you expand on that? Like, what do you mean by strategy? What are the things that kind of make you that you're thinking about from a strategic standpoint?
Just like trying to take in the market as a whole and try to, instead of like looking at specific things, especially in our industry, there's a lot of things going on. Well, I guess in any industry, but our industry has a lot of drama going on in all the time,
Interesting.
especially in
Yeah.
the social media space. And so it's hard sometimes to filter out the dumb stuff that doesn't mean anything, that will be gone tomorrow or the
Yeah.
next week, and kind of look at an overall picture and try and not only design a strategy for that, like being a part of that, or whatever it is, like solving a problem or however it is, but more importantly, like trying to see where it's going to, be there and kind of be ahead of the curve and stay relevant and stay, um, stay on top of things
Yeah.
and have a real strategy. That's something that we're trying to really do, is have strategy in place instead of, just come in and do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really
And
interesting. And so when you,
that reminds me. Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
please.
I was going to say that reminds me. Oh, excuse me. Going back to what you asked, I think that takes up probably the most amount of time. As more specifically, trying to generate ideas for content and stuff like that, and work through content ideas with the team. That takes up a ton of time, and
Yeah. That's really
also
interesting.
creating the content. Luckily, I got a good team for that, and but sometimes we go up to our company ranch a lot, and that's that's 4 hours away. So we usually sleep there. So like a content a content idea could end up taking 2 days up at the ranch. So that takes a lot of time too.
That's really interesting. So, um, I just want to chat a little bit more about this concept around strategy. So, when you say strategy, what do you define that as? Is that forward planning? Is that how would you know, or how would you, what do you need to feel like you've solved that strategic problem, or have a good understanding what your strategy is?
Um, I could define that a little bit, but I don't
Hmm.
know if I could tell you the answer for what I need
Yeah.
because I'm still looking for
Yeah.
that. I think everybody is, and if they tell you what that they feel good about it, then either they're masters or they're lying. But no, I think that there's two parts to strategy. You talked about it being forward looking, but I think it's more. There's two parts. There is the forward looking part, which is your more traditional strategy, but I think that current strategy being a dynamic one is something that's not talked about very often because
Mhm.
as important as your strategy is and having your end post, your goal post, got to be dynamic on the fly. You know what I mean? You got to have a strategy to be able to adapt with stuff.
Right.
So if I successfully adapt to something that happens in the middle of something I'm trying to accomplish, I consider that a pretty big success.
Oh, that's awesome. Um, yeah, that makes sense, and it's kind of interesting to hear on your take. One, I think strategy is something that keeps most CMOs at night because up at night because it's really, am I guiding this organization in the right direction? Is something that you know should keep you up at night. To be very honest,
Yeah, it does. I think that
yeah,
it's probably the most important thing you can do in
yeah,
any leadership role, especially in marketing, because it's such a crazy busy space and
yeah.
changing every day.
For sure. The second piece of it that I thought was really interesting was your take on content and how important content is for you. Um, can you expand on the kinds of content that you're creating and how you guys realized that it was such a valuable piece of your marketing puzzle?
Well, so we kind of just it's valuable to our company because of how our company was formed, basically.
Mm.
Uh, the owner of the company, the founder, is probably one of the best shooters out there, and he's just an absolute stud when it comes to that. And he just started like building an Instagram based off of doing crazy shooting, like stuff you would never see, like shooting a tic tac with a pistol from
That's crazy.
10 yards or whatever, or I've even seen him shoot uh, uh, a can, and then you know how a semi-automatic pistol, the shell expels out into the
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
He turns and shoots the shell out of the air. it's it's wild. So he started keep building a pretty big following with that, but all the while he was struggling to find the holster that was good for him because
Mm.
he's very analytical in terms of like physical things that he's using to he really breaks down his shooting. It's pretty interesting to watch.
Interesting.
And he did that with his holster and ended up just kind of making his own.
Hmm.
And all the people he would shoot with, and then his Instagram followers, like, what is that holster you're using? And they asked enough, it's his typical startup story. They asked enough for the product. He decided to start making it for people. He made enough for people, for friends and stuff that he was like, dang, I could sell these.
Yeah.
And he started the company, started making them, and had to shut the company down after a month because there was too many orders. He didn't know what to do. So he was like, well, okay, let's recalibrate and figure out how the
Yeah.
heck to do this. And his social media was, his personal social media was growing pretty fast. And that's where traffic was coming from mainly.
I love that because it's almost like a celebrity driven brand. We have these like ideas around celebrity driven brands being it's got to be, a Hollywood celebrity, but for a niche product like yours, celebrity means celebrity in the niche at which he
Yeah,
is. And so
yeah,
while you may not think about it that way, it kind of is a celebrity driven brand all said and done. And then his content is really uh, pushing that product and kind of, uh, uh, I was talking to another marketing director, and he talked about how skepticism was always one of those things that keeps people away from products. And so, uh, seeing it being used and doing some phenomenal things kind of takes away a lot of that skepticism because you see it in use.
yeah. So that's one of our main strategic, like lifelong evergreen strategic goals as a company is to since we're selling to that high performer
Yeah,
who, by the way, is one of the pickiest people in any industry. I'm telling you right now, these people out here. uh, they we all of our content revolves around us as a company
yeah,
being high performing shooters and concealed carriers. And so most of our content revolves around that. And we produce a ton of content. We're doing a YouTube every week, plus YouTube Shorts every day, plus three three posts every day on Instagram, and a few reels on Instagram a week, stuff like that. And they're all really, really good content. And
that's interesting.
mainly our YouTube revolves, actually all of it revolves around us shooting. So everybody on the marketing team is probably in the top 5-10% of shooters out there, and probably less than five. Especially some of them, they're incredibly good. And of
That's
course, the
amazing.
owner who's in content too, he's obviously amazing.
That's really
But
cool. So it's almost like your marketing team is built with the influencers that you would have gone and worked with anyway. So you might as well just
yeah,
have them as part of the marketing team.
yep, that's a good way to describe it.
That's really interesting. And how do you guys use that content in paid media? Does it translate into paid media? I guess how does knowing that you guys are creating so much content for social and your own sites, how do you get it to kind of expand out from just that?
Yeah, so syndicating our content is something I'm still working on, but it's definitely a priority of mine, so
Mhm.
that I don't have to create
So much.
new content every second. Uh, so yeah, I definitely use as much as I can in paid media. I'll try and luckily we got a stud of a video editor on staff, and he can
Nice.
cut anything into whatever I need, or if I need something that he can't pull from existing content, he'll just make it, or we will make it either way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely try and do that. I try and it depends because like if I have a specific idea for an ad and I think I can do it without filming content,
Oh, cool.
I'll try and do that. Like if it's like it's especially like a static ad, like a picture or something, I try and instead of it just being a picture, I try and introduce graphics into it,
Yeah.
even if it's well, and not even necessarily graphics, just like I guess the word would be compositing,
Okay.
where I'm messing with the photo to try
Yeah.
and make it tell a better story or
Yeah.
whatever, something like that. I do that a lot too.
That's really interesting.
But
Amazing.
our ads revolve heavily around copy too. So unless it's a video, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, listen, Colin, we talked a lot about challenges and we talked a lot about things that you have that keep you up at night. So, what are you most excited about as we kind of look ahead?
So one of my favorite things to do as a marketer is product launches. It's a lot less ambiguous in terms of the goal. The goal is to sell the product and hopefully introduce it to the market in a way that makes them fall in love with it. And so it's a little bit more straightforward. So I can really focus on how I do that. And that's where it's super fun because I can not worry about the end goal and focus on how we get there a little bit easier. And so having said that, we have a few big products coming out this year that I'm super excited to launch and design like whole launches around. Those will be fun.
So funny. Marketers love product launches. It's just something new to talk about that isn't a discount or a sale or like product launches are the best.
Yeah. I am excited for the website too. That'll be cool. We're doing some pretty interesting things with our website that no one in our niche does, because I don't know if I already said it. All of our products are handmade to order. So there's like a lead time and stuff. And one of the biggest hurdles I've had as a marketer is, since a lot of it is custom, because everybody has their own gun, and then everybody has or doesn't have a light that they attach, like a weapon light. And all of that can change the mold we're using to make their holster. Plus, they get to pick the color of the holster and some of the hardware pieces. So there's like almost exponentially amount of combinations. So we're constantly having to add to that library of physical molds that we make these holsters out of. But it also makes it really challenging in terms of how the end user experiences the purchase, like has their purchase experience, because they have to build it out essentially on their website. And if they're not incredibly they know a lot about every aspect of it, they'll get confused really easily, especially in the world of Amazon where it's like a buy type thing.
Yeah.
It's more like buy.
Yeah, it's very customized. So it takes a lot of steps through the whole process.
Yeah. So we've just been really focusing on tackling that to make it a better user experience and educate them more as they go along.
That's really interesting. Yeah, that's where some of the educational content and probably some of the videos that you have could be super helpful.
Yeah, we try and create a lot of content around it, but people are silly. They just still they won't watch anything, even if it says, "Hey, learn how to use this. Click here." They're like, "Nah, wait, how do I use this?"
Yeah. I got that for sure. So, Colin, last question. What advice would you give a new marketing leader or CMO in their first 90 days?
I think that, and I'm still working on this myself, but I think one of the most important things that you can do, especially in a leadership role in marketing, is try not to get bogged down by the fundamental stuff, the fundamental work, so much so that you don't have time or energy or the willpower to focus on the vital stuff. Because the fundamentals are great and they're important. They get, you got to do them, or someone's got to do them.
Yeah.
But if you don't make time for the vital stuff like strategy, the thinking stuff, the creative stuff, the stuff that makes a difference, all the fundamental stuff will be fruitless. It'll just be busy work.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. That's great advice. Don't get bogged down in tactical everyday things and just kind of pull yourself up and take a look sometimes.
Yeah, you got to take that bird's eye view and see where you're going and see where you want to be and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Colin, thank you so much for joining us today. If someone wants to find you online, where can people learn more about you?
So a few months ago, I started trying to do this thing called CMO, Colin.
Yeah.
And that's what I have an Instagram handle and an X handle and stuff like that, but I haven't done anything with it yet. But if that's eventually there will be marketing stuff there. But like, if you wanted, you could follow me on guns_n_graphics on Instagram.
Nice.
Or,
perfect.
or probably more likely is you could check out Tier 1 Concealed.
I love it. We'll have links to everything in the show notes. Colin, thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was cool.
Thanks for joining us. If you liked it, remember to subscribe so you'll be notified of new episodes. And if you know someone who would enjoy this show, don't forget to share and leave a review. It all helps us impact more brands. If you're looking to improve your paid media, go to weareqry.com and schedule a consultation. We're always happy to chat. See you for the next one.